In this video, I'm going to share all about my experience going to Wild Herb Weekend in Western North Carolina. I'm about to head out. I'm super excited. I saw so many amazing posts and videos of them in the past couple of years, and I just haven't been able to go last year. So I'm super excited to head there now. It's about 3.5 hour drive, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We stay overnight. We get to hang out by the fire, do tea ceremonies. We get to do cacao ceremonies. So I just cannot wait. There's like foraging walks and tons of herbal classes and just meeting and hanging out with other plant people, and I just cannot wait. So this video, I'm going to share my experience, my takeaways, some video snippets throughout the event, and just anything I feel like I want to share. So I'm so excited to meet this community, and especially in North Carolina. It's going to be super local, so I'm excited about that. So I'm heading there now. I will touch base once I arrive in Banner Elk, North Carolina. Just arrived, and it is beautiful. There's so many buildings at the conference center. I think this is where my first workshop's gonna be, but just look how beautiful. Pretty amazing. Now I'll be staying in that mission house there, which is adorable, and lots of cute houses, and it's up the big hill to everything else. And so here's a still of the house where I stayed. It's called Mission House. I don't think I got a picture of the plaque for that house, but all of them are really old, very cottage style, definitely with creaky floors, and kind of slept with the windows open, and definitely felt like a good kind of herbalism, cottagey vibe. And this is a shot of the inside. So I stayed on the ground floor, and they're all kind of like dorm style, so it's easy to meet people and make friends. And then on the first night, we had a tea ceremony, which was beautiful. So they set up all the chairs, and they had a bunch of different stations, or I think 3 stations with different tea options. And this was based on Swahili tradition, and they brought in some Swahili language and poetry and prayer, and really talked about how the tea ceremonies are done there. And I have some photos of some of the tables they had set up, which were so beautiful with different tea blends for different intentions. And the topic for the whole conference was root to resilience. And each of the teas kind of talked about different intentions that I think really spoke to different aspects of that theme. And so I ended up going with the indigo, and I do have that pictured here. I have a close up in a little bit of the actual tea blend, and we all got to go around to our stations, choose the tea that spoke to us, and then we sat and waited until everyone had their tea. Then the two folks who were running the tea ceremony did a more official ceremony at the front and then at this little table here. And then we were able to all share in the tea experience. There was music playing and incense, and it was really quite magical to like have a cup of herbal tea in a community like that with such sacred intentions. And here is the tea blend that I have. And it was quite delicious. And it seems like everyone had one that they really enjoyed. And I just love this. In every sip, I remember who I come from. What a beautiful intention. It was a perfect way to start the whole weekend off in a really lovely way. And it was lovely because they had yoga both in the morning and in the evening. So I was able to do kind of like sunrise yoga in this beautiful studio looking over the mountains. I don't think I've ever done yoga in such a beautiful spot before. And that is just directly from my mat. And it was kind of stretching and a gentle flow and like warming up for the day. And in the evening, it was more of like a restorative, deep stretching. And I mean, just look at the view from these buildings. It was just incredible. And to do any kind of breath work or meditation or yoga from there was just a really lovely way to start and end the day, and really supported my sleep on that second night for sure. And then coming up here is a clip of the area, and I'm not going to voice over because the sound of the birds and everything is just so beautiful. And I want you to see just what the views were while we were there throughout the entire weekend. Just beautiful. Just did such a fun class on herbal vinegars and got to taste and try and learned about making them. So I can't wait to go home and do that and look at this view from this class. Just awesome. So I just finished the herbal vinegars class and learned about kind of how to make them just like really simply, kind of in a folk method. And it just feels like really accessible and like a way that we can use it in cooking and just preserving the dried herbs that you have. You know, she did talk about using fresh herbs, but you know, then the risk being mold, so needing to refrigerate them so they have less of a shelf life. So definitely inspired to go home and start making a bunch of dried herbal vinegars to use just culinary, right? Like eating your medicine and food as medicine. And then some more kind of more medicinal ones, like making oxymels and like garlic and ginger oxymels. And so, yeah, I'm excited to dabble more in herbal vinegars. She made it really accessible, and just how amazing it is to do a class when you have such a beautiful view and you're outside. Like, just, it's been a really lovely conference. Everyone has been so wonderful, and the food is great and people are kind, so it's been really lovely. And how amazing to walk around, and there's just like so many plants and like pollinators everywhere, like butterflies and animals, and it's just so nice to be in a place where that's just so common. And we had a keynote speaker, Kat Mayer, on the first day, and she talked about Root to Resilience, our theme, and talked about sanctuaries in yourself, in the community, and in nature. And it was a really beautiful discussion. And she talked about mutual aid and how herbalists have pulled together, especially with Helene and across the country with all that people are suffering. And they're building a map of all the different herbal aid options around the country. And it was really inspiring and just showed how much herbalism can bring people together, can support people in the community in really simple ways by bringing, for example, like rose and tulsi tea, and how that can be really supportive in grief. So I was really inspired about this community care that she talked about. So just finished up most of our day today. I did a class about percolation of tinctures, which I didn't even know that method existed, but apparently it's a lot faster. You can control the concentration. It's a very like traditional older way of doing things, and I'm really excited to try that at home. I've never seen it, so I learned about it. I definitely need to learn more about it, but that was really fascinating, kind of using some of the dried material to make a tincture in like just a few days, which is much faster than several weeks. So it's called percolation method. So I'm definitely gonna look more into that. Just met so many really wonderful people. Have tried some really beautiful products that I've never had before with different herbs. And I also went to a cacao ceremony with someone who is both a traditional and a more like science-based healer and has studied with elders. Really incredible woman. And so that was really nice to experience firsthand. And definitely want to continue working with cacao, and I have been for a little while. And yeah, just like really amazing experience here. Highly recommend this conference. And I can't wait to share more about what I've learned, but I'm gonna get some dinner and relax. I think we have some music and a campfire. I also got to do a plant walk today, I forgot to say that, with a native and indigenous woman, and her content has been really amazing, kind of sharing about the plants and how she's used them. And it's just a really kind of beautiful community here, learning from all different kinds of healers, and everywhere you go, it's just beautiful. Look at that. Just gorgeous here. So dinner time. So the next morning, I decided to opt out of yoga and kind of have a relaxing morning on the porch of the front. And it's very foggy in the morning, and it's like rolling over the mountains, and it's quite beautiful. So I did a little journaling, had some coffee. These are some of the views from the porch. And then I decided to go for the hike towards the waterfall. So it's supposed to be a pretty short hike, but it had rained the night before, so it ended up being a bit slippery. But it was going to the Crab Orchard Falls. I did do the older trail, which they said was shorter, but albeit steeper. So I opted for this one, and it was quite beautiful. You'll see some shots here. The fog was still rolling in. And it definitely was some uphill, but definitely beautiful views. So here's a shot with a video without the voiceover, just so you can hear it. And then as I rounded the bend, I finally started to hear the waterfall. And the steep hills were totally worth it. The waterfall was beautiful. It was very serene. I was the only one there. I can see all the little small waterfalls feeding into it. The water was nice and cool and refreshing. And it really reminded me that no matter how our path comes to be, no matter how small our path might be, we all dump into the same river, the same ocean, and can really impact our community and can really feed the stream that feeds the entire world. So I felt very motivated to move on my herbalism path as I sat with this waterfall. So the weekend just wrapped up, kind of just found a nice shady spot here by this little river to just kind of talk about how it was before I head home. So it really was a beautiful conference. You know, it's conference probably doesn't even really do it justice. I mean, the types of classes they have are really varied. Some are more kind of spiritual and connecting to plants in different ways and learning from indigenous teachers. And then you have classes more around like herbal medicine making and kind of techniques. And then there's ones about more theory and kind of I learned about energetics more today and a little bit of Ayurveda, a little bit of traditional Chinese medicine. And all the people were really wonderful, the people who came to the conference, who organized it, and the people who kind of led all of the different classes. And I'm looking forward to coming back again next year. It's in a beautiful space with tons of wild herbs and plants, and there's nature walks. So it's just a really lovely weekend. And I learned a lot. You know, I'm excited. It definitely gave me more inspiration, more excitement to try more things at home with what I have, in kind of simplifying my way of studying and really trying to get to know fewer plants in more depth, which I've heard that feedback before, but it just kind of was really hitting home this weekend. So I really want to try to do that, of learning certain plants really in depth and making all kinds of medicine with the different parts of the plant and learning about it really from the heart, right? And sitting with the plant, kind of feeling what the plant has to teach me, not just studying what other people have written about them in the books. And it was really powerful to learn from people who were actually from cultures that work with plants in that way. You know, we had people who were traditional healers who learned from elders in their community and have even merged that with their more scientific knowing and kind of combine the worlds, which I think is amazing. We had indigenous healers who learned from their medicine people and were able to share some of that knowledge with us, which was really powerful and beautiful. And I'm really grateful for this weekend, the people I met, the things I learned, and I just feel like it's really lit me up to really push ahead in my herbalism journey and the green path journey. And the nice thing is, even though I'm new on the path, I'm not someone who grew up as an herbalist, you know, all people were here, people who have been doing this for 40, 50 years, people who grew up with the plants and working with plants in this way. And then folks like me who were kind of newer on the path, and no one felt less than, like I didn't feel less than, I didn't feel that I was not welcome or anything like that. So it was definitely a really nice mix of people. And it's kind of led me to this point of, you know, no matter where I am, I can learn, I can grow, and where I am is perfect, and that there is something for me on this green path because it has been calling me for quite some time, and that I can really grow and flourish it and merge it with the other healing practices that I already have as a nurse for over 11 years, nurse practitioner for 2.5, you know, that I can weave a path that's mine, that feels like me, and learn from all these different traditions, which I think is incredible. And so it's really just inspired me even more to continue on my path, to continue learning, to enhance my ways of knowing and ways of learning, and really starting to use the knowledge I have and share it. Because another thing I realized is I probably do know a little bit more than I gave myself credit for. And so sharing that, you know, meeting people where I am, not offering more than I can offer, but also not waiting until X point when I'm a perfect herbalist, right? Which in my mind, it probably will never happen, right? Like, what is a perfect herbalist? Like, there's always things to learn. We're always a student of nature. So we always just have to give from a place that we have currently in a safe way. And I think I would never do anything to harm someone. I would never do anything that felt above what I knew. And so this is just inspiration to really act, to make the things at home for friends, for family, to meet with people and talk about their healing, to work with the plants more kind of in depth, both clinically but also spiritually, and learning from them directly, which I think is really awesome. So it's been a lovely weekend. I've learned a lot. I can't wait to kind of synthesize my learning at home and continue to walk this path. So if you're interested in herbalism or you're near North Carolina, it's a really fun conference. I'm definitely going to try to come back again next year. And yeah, I just appreciate the North Carolina Herbal Association for putting this on and having it be a place where people who enjoy plants and the earth can come together and kind of weave story and herbalism and plant path and like earth wisdom and everything into kind of this beautiful weekend. I think there's something here for everyone. You know, there's definitely, like I said, the more science leaning classes, the more kind of techniques. There was crafting with herbs and doing other cool things with herbs. Then there was kind of more spiritual aspects of the herbalism path. So a lot of really good stuff. You can kind of mix it up. There was business classes. So yeah, I'm just inspired, feeling really grateful that I came, that I took this time out and to use this knowledge in my life and really start using it, really start acting from a place of herbalism and acting like an herbalist. And even though I'm a beginner and maybe a seedling and it's just starting, it doesn't mean that I can't work with the plants in a really deep way and have personal profound healing and support profound healing in others in a safe way with my knowledge base as I continue to grow. So this just inspired me to do that, to kind of move ahead and really, really just be excited about the path. So thanks for joining me on my experience at North Carolina Herbal Association Wild Herb Weekend in 2025. I hope you enjoyed my video.